In the ancient land of Canaan, two angels arrive in the city of Sodom at dusk. They find a man named Lot sitting by the city gate. He sees them and immediately bows down, offering them a place to stay for the night. He insists they come to his house, wash their feet, and rest, rather than spending the night in the public square. The angels initially refuse, saying they'll stay in the square, but Lot is so persistent that they finally agree and go home with him. He prepares a feast for them, baking bread without yeast, and they eat. But before they can go to bed, something terrible happens. The men of the city, both young and old, from every part of Sodom, surround Lot's house. They start shouting at Lot, demanding that he bring out his two guests so they can have their way with them. Lot goes outside, shutting the door behind him to protect his guests. He begs the men of the city not to do such a wicked thing. In a moment of sheer desperation, he even offers them his two virgin daughters instead, telling the crowd they can do whatever they want with them, but to leave his guests alone. This only makes the mob angrier. They yell at Lot, calling him a foreigner who has no right to judge them. They threaten to do worse to him than they planned to do to his guests. The crowd then surges forward to break down the door. Suddenly, the two angels reach out, pull Lot back inside the house, and shut the door. Then, they strike the men outside with blindness. The mob struggles, groping in the dark, unable to find the doorway. Inside, the angels reveal their true purpose to Lot. They tell him they have been sent by the Lord to destroy the city because the outcry against its people has become so great. They urge Lot to gather his family, including his sons-in-law and anyone else who belongs to him, and get them out of Sodom immediately. Lot rushes out to find the men who are engaged to his daughters. He warns them, telling them to hurry and leave the city because the Lord is about to destroy it. But his sons-in-law think he's joking. They laugh at him and refuse to believe his warning. As dawn breaks, the angels start to hurry Lot along. They tell him to take his wife and his two daughters and flee, so they won't be swept away when the city is punished. But Lot hesitates. He can't bring himself to leave everything behind. Seeing his reluctance, the angels take matters into their own hands. Filled with mercy from the Lord, they grab Lot, his wife, and his two daughters by the hand and lead them safely out of the city. Once they are outside the city limits, one of the angels gives a final, stern command. He tells them to flee for their lives and not to look back. He warns them not to stop anywhere in the plain, but to escape to the mountains, or they will be destroyed. Lot, however, is afraid. He pleads with the angels, saying he can't make it to the mountains in time. He's worried that the disaster will overtake him and he will die. He points to a small town nearby, called Zor, and asks if he can flee there instead. Because it is small, he argues, he will be safe. The angel agrees to his request, sparing the small town of Zor for Lot's sake. He urges Lot to hurry, as he cannot do anything until Lot is safely there. The sun has just risen over the land as Lot enters Zor. Then, the Lord rains down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah. Fire falls from the sky, sent by the Lord himself. He overthrows those cities and the entire plain, destroying all the people who live in them and everything that grows in the land. But Lot's wife, in a moment of weakness or curiosity, disobeys the angel's command. She looks back toward the burning city. As soon as she does, she is turned into a pillar of salt. Early the next morning, Abraham, Lot's uncle, goes to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looks down towards Sodom and Gomorrah and the rest of the plain. All he sees is dense smoke rising from the land, like the smoke from a massive furnace. God has remembered his covenant with Abraham and has saved Lot from the catastrophic destruction that wiped out the cities of the plain. This story from the book of Genesis serves as a powerful account of divine judgment. The wickedness of Sodom and Gomorrah had reached a point where God chose to intervene directly, wiping them off the face of the earth. The narrative highlights themes of sin, righteousness, mercy, and obedience. Lot, considered righteous in the eyes of God, is spared, but not without a test of his own obedience and the tragic loss of his wife. Another city that faced God's wrath was the mighty Jericho. Its story unfolds in the book of Joshua, as the Israelites, led by Joshua, prepare to enter the promised land. After 40 years of wandering in the desert, they stand at the edge of Canaan, and their first obstacle is the heavily fortified city of Jericho. Its walls are so massive and imposing that they seem impenetrable. Joshua sends 2 spies into Jericho to assess its defenses. The spies find refuge in the house of a woman named Rahab, who lives in the city wall. When the king of Jericho learns about the spies, he sends soldiers to capture them. But Rahab hides the men on her roof under stalks of flax. She then misleads the soldiers, telling them the spies have already left the city. Once the soldiers are gone, Rahab makes a deal with the spies. She tells them that the people of Jericho are terrified of the Israelites because they have heard how the Lord dried up the Red Sea for them and how they defeated the 2 Amorite kings. She acknowledges the power of their God and asks the spies to swear an oath that they will spare her and her family when they attack the city. The spies agree. They tell her to tie a scarlet cord in her window. This cord will be a sign for the Israelite army, and everyone inside her house will be safe. The spies then escape from the city by climbing down a rope from her window. They return to Joshua and report that the Lord has surely given the whole land into their hands. The people of Jericho are melting in fear. Armed with this knowledge, Joshua and the Israelites prepare for an unusual battle plan given to them by God Himself. For 6 days, the Israelite army is to march around the city once a day. The armed men are to lead the procession, followed by 7 priests carrying trumpets made of ram's horns. Behind the priests, more soldiers are to follow the Ark of the Covenant. Joshua commands the people to remain completely silent during the march. They are not to shout, speak a word, or make any noise until the day he tells them to. So, for 6 days, the Israelites follow these instructions precisely. They circle the city in a silent, intimidating procession, while the people of Jericho watch from behind their walls, filled with growing dread and confusion. On the 7th day, the instructions change. The Israelites are to march around the city not once, but 7 times. After the 7th lap, the priests are to blow a long blast on their trumpets. When the people hear the sound of the trumpets, they are to let out a mighty shout. God promises that when they do this, the walls of the city will collapse, and the army can charge straight in. The Israelites obey. They rise at dawn on the 7th day and march around Jericho 7 times. As the priests blow the final, powerful blast on their trumpets, Joshua gives the command. He tells the people to shout, for the Lord has given them the city. He also reminds them that the city and everything in it are to be devoted to the Lord for destruction. Only Rahab and her family are to be spared, as she had hidden the spies. The people let out a thunderous roar. Just as God had promised, the massive walls of Jericho crumble and fall flat. The Israelite army charges into the city from every side and takes it. They completely destroy the city, devoting it to the Lord. They destroy every living thing in it with the sword, men and women, young and old, cattle, sheep, and donkeys. Joshua sends the 2 spies to Rahab's house. They bring her and her entire family out to safety, fulfilling their oath. Rahab and her descendants go on to live among the Israelites. After the city is taken, Joshua places a curse on Jericho. He declares that whoever attempts to rebuild the city will do so at the cost of his firstborn son and will set up its gates at the cost of his youngest son. The fall of Jericho is a testament to the power of faith and obedience. It was not military strategy or superior weaponry that brought down the walls, but the Israelites' unwavering trust in God's plan. This event marked a crucial victory for the Israelites, opening the way for their conquest of the Promised Land. Like Sodom and Gomorrah, the story of Jericho continues to intrigue archaeologists. Excavations at the site of ancient Jericho, Tel Es Sultan, have revealed layers of settlement and destruction spanning thousands of years. While there is evidence of collapsed walls, the dating of these layers of destruction has been a subject of intense debate among scholars. Some argue that the archaeological findings align with the biblical timeline, while others suggest discrepancies. This debate highlights the challenges of reconciling archaeological data with ancient texts. Despite the ongoing scholarly discussions, the story of Jericho remains a cornerstone of faith for millions, a powerful narrative about how faith in God can overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles.